Hello, everybody. It's Fernando Labastida. Here we are once again in another episode of the Martechify interviews. And I'm very happy to have with us today Eduardo Ortiz. He's the CEO and founder of a company called We Are the Robots, WATR, WATR for short. And I'll get into who Eduardo is in just a moment and the topic that we're going to talk about. But I just wanted to say welcome to everybody to the Martechify connected learning community where we share best practices, ideas, and success stories for marketers in today's ever-changing Martech environment. So, Eduardo, like I said, welcome to the interview today. How are you doing on this nice Tuesday afternoon?
I'm very fine, Fernando. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for having me. And I'm kind of getting used to being interviewed by you, so it's okay. I'm feeling great. It's gonna be a great afternoon. It's gonna take us through some interesting stories, I hope, and I'm very glad we're gonna share this with all your subscribers and your coworkers and all your platform followers.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. So, like I said, Ed is, as we like to call Eduardo, is the CEO and founder of a company called WATR, WATR. We are the robots. They're a systems integrator that really kind of focuses on client-facing applications as well as back-end stuff, and they've done a lot of really interesting work on building custom Martech applications, especially loyalty applications and software that helps companies retain clients, right? And so what we're going to do in a few minutes is we're going to get into a specific example of some work they did with GS1 at their Mexico facility. GS1 is the largest organization or association in the world that provide that they're the ones that create the barcodes that you see on your everyday grocery items at Kroger, HEB, or the pharmacy, or wherever there is a barcode. That's GS1. And they have offices all over the world. The headquarters is in the United States, and they have a huge presence all over Latin America, Europe, Asia, and Mexico is one of the largest ones, one of the larger ones that they have. But before we get into that case study, I wanted to, Eduardo, so the audience can get to know a little bit about your background. If you can kind of give us an overview as to who you are and how did you get to where you are today as the CEO of WATR?
Sure. First of all, I'm not a marketer, so maybe I'm gonna be all over the place in marketing related issues and topics and terms. And I excuse myself in advance for that. I'm a designer. I actually studied graphic design way back in 2005. It's almost 20 years now that I started my studies there. And then I kind of moved into technology, kind of moving from traditional graphic design. And when you're studying graphic design or something related to communications, you're always in a collateral way, learning about advertising, learning about marketing. And in my case, as a designer, I was always very eager to work with people who had these like great campaigns and marketing ideas and branding and all that stuff. And us designers are kind of maybe we're gonna be not maybe pretty surely we're gonna be replaced by AI, Canva and all that stuff that kind of create your logo in 2 clicks and all that stuff. But that was part of my formation back there, working with people who had these creative ideas and then translating them to visual communications, to graphics, to art direction, to key graphic pieces and all that stuff. Back then, we kind of shifted from whatever it was called Web 1.0. Never, no one really called it Web 1.0 to Web 2.0. That actually was a very usual and famous term, right? So that was actually the web that was built not by designers or by webmasters or engineers, but by people who were willing to share content. So that was a great time in the internet, 2005, 2009, because we were creating blogs and platforms. And the marketers and the advertisers and the guys who were kind of running campaigns were always looking to have some website or something in the up in the web. It could be a landing page. It could be maybe a very small experience, a blog, and it was kind of boiling back then. Everyone was able to create a blog or to create a platform or a content or something. So it's 20 years now for me since I studied design, then hoped on actually helping people through design to reach out and communicate their ideas and their needs with web technology. And then I started shifting from traditional print and all that stuff, and then I moved on to websites. And then from websites, no, without a little more experience, I kind of moved into apps. Let's talk about maybe 10 years later, 2012, 13. It was the time where everyone wanted to have a mobile app or a web app. So I was kind of maybe a little bit offside because when you want to develop an app, you need to be an engineer, actually. You need to have engineering skills and coding skills. And I myself, as a designer, was actually able to understand the needs, but I needed someone who was able to code them, right? So I partnered up with a friend from high school. You know, these beautiful stories like Lennon and McCartney and Gilmore and Waters and all that stuff. We were friends since high school, and he actually is a very, very proficient and very professional software engineer. So we teamed up 2015, and then we started building mobile and web applications. I was more on the understanding the user experience, designing the solution, and then my business partner was actually working and translating that experience into working platforms, into working code, and actually engineering all that stuff and put it online. Taking it to a server or to the cloud and all that stuff. So that's 2015, and now 10 years later, I started very young. 2015, I was 17 years old, starting my career. Um, then I founded the company in 2015. I was 27. Now I'm 37. So it's 20 years of experience in web-related stuff, building apps, building platforms, understanding the client's needs. And now, well, yeah, AI, it's everywhere. It's transforming. We've been talking about AI, Fernando, for more than a year now. Maybe it's a year and a half or maybe 2 years. And it's
Yeah.
very, very exciting because um, I was very young when I started in all this web and technology stuff, and I've seen everything. I was very, very little when I had my first internet connection at home. I was actually 10 years old back
Wow.
in 1997, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I've seen practically everything of the web era, from the
Yeah.
personal web page to the blogs, now to the web and mobile apps, and now we're moving on to social media and all that stuff. And I luckily I feel we're moving a little bit ahead from social media. Up until recently, maybe 80 or 90% of the traffic in the web was actually social media. And it's okay. Yeah, people want to share, people want to connect. But what's interesting for me is that the web is now becoming again a platform for creativity, a platform for creators, a platform to create content, not just sharing content or memes or whatever. But actually, I was just 2 hours ago exploring a platform where you can create your own influencer, AI-based influencers. So you actually create, you want a fitness influencer, so you create that on your platform, and then you monetize your influencer in Instagram, and you interact with people. Well, the influencer, the AI interacts with people, shares stuff, answers comments. You upload their photos or videos. It's crazy, and it's cool because it's now. I feel I'm sorry, extended here, but I'm really excited what we're living now. We're living an era of new creativity. Like Steve Jobs said, like the computer is a bicycle for the brain or for the mind. I think AI is a bicycle for the mind too. It's something that will unleash creativity for people who even think they're not creative because they don't draw, they don't film, they don't shoot photos. It doesn't matter. they will be able to be creative using AI and computers and internet and the web, and that's super exciting. If the world is more creative, I think we will be more happy. Just
Yeah,
my 2 cents.
I love that because it's a very positive view of AI as opposed to some of this doom and gloom and conspiracy theory type view of AI. There's some room for some of that, but I really feel like as though, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, that it is a tool to untap human creativity. So, I mean, your career trajectory is really interesting, going from graphic designer to web designer to developing hardcore apps. Let's transition right away into your work with some of these large corporations, and I wanted to focus specifically on GS1. They're the backbone of all of the consumer good items that are for sale pretty much all over
Yeah,
the world. How
yeah,
did
it's
how did
crazy.
you yeah how did you all get at Water? How did you get the engagement with GS1? And tell me about what you've built for them, like how you've helped
Yeah,
them improve their retention, their efficiency, effectiveness, etc.
yeah, and it's something that's not that obvious actually. We started working with just one maybe back in 2015 or 16 maybe, and we were actually working with the marketing team because they were creating landing pages and they were creating registration forms for their events. And I had this experience creating websites and blogs and all that stuff. So they reached out. I was just starting with the robots, and we started working with them with very, very specific, let's say, tactical developments. And what I mean by tactical, we were creating a landing page with a registration form for an event. So that's like pretty standard by now. But back then, the event registration was kind of a little bit messy for everyone. Not everyone had the platform where you could actually have a beautiful landing page with a form, 2 or 3 fields, and then you're registered. Boom, you get your registration code or your entry ticket or something. So it's 10 years now. So we started with that. It was interesting because we were using HubSpot back then with them. And we love challenges in Where the Robots. So they use this very, very famous CRM, and they have all these campaigns running in HubSpot. So they approached us and they told us like, hey, we want to build these landing pages, but we need them to be deployed and served by the CRM by HubSpot. Do you have any experience? We were like, hell no, but hell yeah, let's do it. Right? Let's find how it works. Let's it's the same technology. It's HTML, CSS, JavaScript, so it's the same for everyone. So that's the first foray we had into marketing with them, because we were helping them with these basic forms and just helping the attendees to their events just to have a very clean and very easy and very streamlined registration. That was it. Back then, no one had the notion or the realization that data was going to drive business decisions so hard, and larger companies knew that from maybe the 60s or the 70s, data driven companies. But in Mexico, that and for a mid-sized corporation, that's not actually relevant. Latin America, just as a reference for your American audience, here in Latin America, we don't have very structured data. Actually, our data is kind of all over the place. Something that's very cool from the US and from Canada and all um, most European countries is actually you have regulations and you have standards for data management, for data cleansing, for data processing, for data entry. We don't have that in Latin America, so that's a challenge. If you want to know the prices of a car, for instance, there's this something called a blue book here in Mexico, and that's it. That's the only reference with data where you can find the price of a car, right? But you can have like this. We were working with GS1 creating these landing pages in HubSpot, and that was the first experience with them. And then we realized back then that data was like super relevant. And I was kind of reflecting now, like so many years later, how data became this. actually this valuable asset for companies in all over the world. But in Mexico, we don't have very structured data, so that's a problem there. We have data all over the place, and that's an issue because you will find out later in the story how that created a very, very, very big challenge for one business need that actually we helped solve to create this very, very interesting platform using AI, and we were using machine learning and all that stuff like maybe 3 years ago. So we kind of moved from landing pages, then we moved into mobile apps with them, mobile apps for the associates. Remember that for GS1, you have on one hand all the manufacturers. You have Coca-Cola. No, for in the US it could be Lay's for the chips and all that stuff, and then you have the retailers, the wholesalers, retailers, and small chains. For Trader Joe's, like in Mexico, we have something similar to Trader Joe's. From to Costco, right? We have Costco too, so that's cool. And then GS1 kind of integrates all that into consumer packaged goods and all the barcodes and all that you were telling us a little bit earlier. Um, but what's interesting is GS1 works with associates. You need to pay a fee, and then you're part of GS1. And you need to pay that fee because you need a barcode, or you need access to the catalog of the barcodes. So either you're a manufacturer or a retailer, you need data, right? So GS1 was very focused for lots of years, maybe 20 years, into creating the most powerful and the most complete catalog of products in the world by integrating GS1s from all over the world into one very, very big, we call it data pool. So that data pool has all the information for, a Pepsi that's manufactured in New York and it's sold in Mexico, to a tequila manufactured in Mexico, sold in Japan. So if you want to sell your tequila in Japan, you need to have your barcode, and then you need to have that barcode into the catalog, right? And then you need to be a part of the association, because if you're not part, then you actually don't even have a barcode, right? You can't go and just create your own barcodes. Actually, that's let's say it's not illegal, but it's unethical, to create random self-created barcodes, right? So um, fast forward, um, pandemics 2021, 2022, and then the retailers and the manufacturers weren't that engaged with GS1, and they were just using their membership or their, this access just for barcodes or for catalog consults, and that's it. And if you don't see the value out of the membership, like in a hotel, for instance, let's think about like membership business model, gyms, hotels, um, associations like this, everywhere where you pay a membership has kind of the same problem. If you don't see the value that you obtain out of your membership, most surely you won't renew the next year, right? So let's go like backwards, like 20 years ago, Blockbuster, right? You had your membership, it was free. You didn't even have to pay for the membership. And guess what? You were able to rent so many movies you want per night, per week, video games. It was so cool, right? Blockbuster was so cool, but there wasn't any a value added to that membership. No discount prices, maybe small discounts, but it was kind of not adding value beyond just renting movies, right? So when Netflix came, it's a subscription model, right? It's a membership model to you're a member of Netflix, but you get so many value out of your 15 or 14.99 a month that you don't even think about canceling Netflix, right?
Right.
They do have churn rate, but you're getting so much value out of your membership that you don't even think about, oh, I'm gonna cancel this the following month.
Right.
And it's even worse. We have all these memberships everywhere, right? We have Disney Plus and we have Netflix, and if you want some sports, then you have other platforms for the NFL or for whatever, right? And we're paying memberships everywhere. But a company won't pay for a membership if they are not really using it beyond just having a barcode, beyond just renting a movie, right? It's kind of the same stuff that when Blockbuster was around. But guess what? GS1 actually provides so much value to the associates. It provides workshops, seminars, trainings on site and remote. They provide trade shows. You can be a part of the trade show as an assistant, or you can have your own booth and you can be a speaker. So you can get a lot out of your membership, but people actually don't know, right? They don't. They just think about the barcode. They just think about renting the movie, right? So the realization there with the marketing, operations, and finance team working together was do we make people understand the value they can obtain out of their membership for them to renew every year and be engaged with the organization. So first things first was let's analyze the data. What data do we have? So they approached us and they were like, hey, we need help and we need to understand all this data in our CRM. Remember, we were doing landing pages back then and we were feeding the CRM, but we weren't even back then sure how this data was going to be used. Fast forward 8 years later, we are like, okay, we have data and we have the information of, for instance, this associate, this member of GS1, how many times he attended some events, how many times has he called to the organization, how many times has he logged into the mobile app. And you remember, we're Mexicans, so we have the data all over the place. So we had some information in the CRM, some other was in the ERP, some other was in Excel, some other information was inside the like, Google Analytics of a specific app. So it was everywhere. But the idea here was like, how can we understand the digital footprint of our member, of our associate? And then after understanding this digital footprint, that you're leaving traces here and there in a website, in an event, in a catalog search query and whatnot, um, you're more engaged with the organization. And if you're engaged, the hypothesis there is you're going to be eager to renew your membership the following year. But if you're not engaged, you're not going to renew. It's like kind of obvious. So just one was dedicating but so much time, so much effort, and so many resources, people, um, campaigns, and everything to actually to retain their customers. But they were not driving their decisions by data. They were just sending out campaigns like, everyone, don't forget to renew your membership. And it's like, yeah, maybe segmentations, maybe don't send that campaign to actual active members, but maybe, yeah, send it to everyone. And then all those efforts, marketing efforts, are actually kind of a waste of time and money because they're not like really focusing. So that was the challenge. Like, how do we help GS1 um, communicate and understand their customers and communicate the value out of the membership based on the data they have about the interactions of the user with the organization? And then how would you provide a tool that will in a way help um, maybe optimize or maybe maximize these efforts? um, so I'm not sure, Fernando, if you have some questions here now, because I'm gonna like reveal what was the solution and what how are we helping them and what we kind of built for them.
No, I'm just fascinated by the story, and I'm kind of waiting with bated breath to hear what the big reveal is.
So and actually it's a big reveal conceptually, but actually it's a very simple solution. We thought like, okay, you have a call center here that's actually engaging in calls like day in, day out, outbound. That's kind of marketing stuff too. They were doing outbound campaigns, uh, telling their associates like, hey, your renewal is coming up soon, so you want to renew? Yes, no, why? And their churn rate was like way up, especially with smaller members. Coca-Cola, for instance, in Mexico, the bottler is called FEMSA. So FEMSA or Arca, they need to be there. Costco, they need to be there. But the long tail in terms of marketing, all the other 98% of the associates are the smaller ones. The small family-owned business that manufactures very nice, let's say, candies and chocolates, or the small retailer that's very, very locally focused on certain kind of products, maybe kosher products. And these guys from the um, kosher products retailer, they're like, do we need to be part of GS1? They just need the products. They just need the barcodes, and that's it. They don't even need to be part of. That's what they're gonna save um, time, and they're gonna save some more money, right? If they're not members, or that's what maybe you would be led to be to think, right? So how can you have the workforce to help that 98% of the members actually be engaged and renewing? So data with our indicators, plus a very simple solution, a traffic light, red, yellow, green. So how it works? It's a web platform. So we created this machine learning model in the back that is fed of different sources. This actually is before Gen AI. It's before OpenAI. I'm talking about 2021, 2022. So
Wow.
there was no agents, there was no ChatGPT, no nothing. But we have machine learning. Amazon, for instance, has SageMaker. It's a recommendation platform. So all the pieces were there, but kind of in the background. So I'm gonna be a little bit technical now, but the idea is we created this machine learning model that is fed or trained with different sources. For instance, the CRM, the support desk, they use Zendesk. So Zendesk has all the information of the interactions between support, tickets, agents, problem solution, and customers. So it's HubSpot, Zendesk, their own internal ERP, where they can see the renewal rates, the how long they've been members of GS1. So we started extracting all this information, and then we integrated that into a model that creates a predictive analytics output. So the prediction there with an algorithm, and let's try to be as simple as possible. The algorithm is like, if this member is in this tier of membership, they're paying, let's say, $100 per year. They only have one barcode. They have not attended at any event. They haven't logged into the platform, and they just signed into GS1 in 2020. Maybe it will be red and they won't renew, because they're not taking value out of the membership. But then this other member, they have 10 barcodes. They've been members for the last 15 years. They've been growing consistently with new products every 2 years, maybe. They are part of the steering committee. They had a booth in one of the trade shows, and they just logged in 5 hours ago into the platform. Okay, so maybe that's a green, right? And then you have the other member that's been a member of GS1 for the past 20 years. They were very active 5 years ago. They were participating in the committee. They were actually participating into the trainings. They trained their company. But in the last 5 years, they have been nowhere to be seen, right? No new barcodes, no nothing. Okay, but they have been paying it every year. Maybe that's a yellow, right? So how do you translate all that different cases and all that different combinations and permutations into one model? So that's the solution. So a data scientist and a machine learning engineer with a software engineer from my company created this platform. It's very easy, very, very simple, very actually very very user friendly. And then how it works. you're a customer service agent in GS1 and you're working with the marketing team in the renewal campaign. So instead of just calling out every single member of the directory or shooting out random emails or massive emails, you just enter your platform and then you focus on what's actually needed in that moment. So maybe you focus on the red ones, right? Let's filter out all the red ones, and then we have some criteria there where you can sort them or organize them. And then you can just say like, okay, I'm going to focus only on food and beverage that are in red in this traffic light indicator. And then just filter them. And then you will have all the information there and the contact information pulled from the CRM. And then you're going to start your campaign. And that's not, we moved beyond just capturing data in these landing pages to actually using that data in conjunction with marketing teams and with finance teams, because GS1 has metrics and KPIs and they need to hit a target of renewals and all that stuff. So they need to work together. So marketing creates like these campaigns in order to attract people to use platforms to attend the events and everything. And then you have this specific team. They're just focused on renewals, but they do this very, very specific strategic work with all those accounts. They have these 5 members that are in red, are part of food and beverage. So they have recommendations, just a little aside from the traffic light, they have insights. Like you should recommend to these customers or these clients or these members to attend to our following webinar, or you should recommend them to be part of this trade show that's going to be at the end of the year, or you can invite them to this conference. So then the customer agent calls them like, "Hey, how are you? You've been a member of GS1 since 1999, but I've seen that you've not been so active lately. Can you tell us a little bit more about your experience with GS1?" So it's marketing and sales and everything working together strategically, not just, for me, understanding these marketing efforts with technology. It's not just automating campaigns, right? Everyone can do that. It's not just using AI to enhance your Google Ads campaigns. That's kind of, yeah, it's okay, everyone can do that. But and what I find, like every time I kind of research a little bit about marketing and tech and everything in LinkedIn or whatever, they're kind of the same topics, like create content, a massive
Yeah.
campaigns, automate your emails, automate your ads, optimize your budgets. Yeah, you can use AI for that, and that's cool. But think of the complexities behind, and then you're not just doing tactical or operational marketing, right? Just like uh, publishing your content into Facebook, and yeah, everyone does that. But these guys just when they had this vision of how to leverage technology and how can they actually move these financial indicators, engaging through marketing, and delivering value to the customers and communicating that value. And guess what? Retention and renewals have gone up. Um, it's 25-30% of renewal rate has increased in the last 2 years because they were losing these opportunities because the customer felt that GS1 doesn't even care about me. So when I'm gonna pay like 200 or 2,000 or $20,000 a year, but when you have a customer agent, service agent that has all this information just in the computer and has the insights and has the recommendations and knows that this client is in risk of actually not renewing, then you can drive the conversation there. And then you can actually not even retain them. You can even, engage them and you can make them be part of the organization. And then once you're done with the reds, maybe yeah, go with the yellow ones because they're kind of in the middle. They're not sure. They're kind, but the red ones are the risk. They're not going to renew. It's like all indicators are telling us this guy is going. He's leaving us.
Yeah.
And then the yellow ones maybe, and then the green ones. also have a strategy because you can work with the green ones because they're your customer success stories. They're the ones that are gonna be um, mouth-to-mouth recommendations to everyone. They're the ones who actually see value and they've understood how to leverage your business and how to use it for their own growth. And these guys, that are part of the conferences and everything, they're important too for their marketing efforts because then you can invite one of them to a conference or to a podcast or to be a speaker and to share the story with the world, like how GS1 helped him build his empire, right? His potato chips empire. So, more or less in a not so technical way, that's our forecast platform we created for them. They're using it actively. We're updating um, the rules and the algorithms. They're kind of we're tuning them constantly. We're adding new weights. We are changing focus, and maybe it's events. If they have weights, like if a client enters the platform 10 times a week, maybe it's a good sign, but maybe it's not because maybe he's having problems and he's trying to solve them and he's not solving them. So maybe he's angry with you because he's been trying 10 times to enter to the platform and he's unable to accomplish their job. So we have weights, we have parameters, we have criteria, and then we bake all that into a machine learning model. Then we output a traffic light. Simple. That's
Yeah.
it. It's crazy, right?
I love this use of AI, and you're right. I mean, if you look at all the marketing gurus, quote unquote, on LinkedIn, they all pretty much say the same thing. It's a variation of the same theme, pretty much. But I think the more intelligent use of AI is what you're talking about. What you did with GSI or GS1 is the predictive analytics, the ability to say whether they're a red, their risk of your risk of losing them. If they're a yellow, maybe they're kind of lukewarm. Yeah, they may renew, but they're maybe not ecstatic with the experience. And then the green ones, and also I was going to ask you about the green ones. Does does this system you built for GS1 enable you to also sort of upsell them, be able to, for want of a better term, extract more revenue from current associates?
Totally. Yeah. What happens is that you have the predictive analytics here, and you have the traffic light. But then on the other hand, you have the insights of what has happened with this customer based on their data. But then you have a recommendation engine. And the recommendation engines are actually one of the coolest parts of AI because you can train the model with lots of data and lots of information and with lots of parameters and weights and everything. And then you can tell like, give me a recommendation. What can we do? And yeah, actually, customer service agents of GS1 have these recommendations for their associate, so they can tell them like, "Hey, if you upgrade to this other membership, then you will have. If you're loving our events, right, and you have attended three of them in the last 4 months, so if you upgrade to the following tier of our membership, then you will have six additional access passes to your events, for instance. Or if you upgrade, you gain access to the catalog, and then you can update your information right in the platform. So yeah, it's the whole like the 360 view. You can analyze the data based on the historical, then you can project and try to foresee a little bit what's going to happen and take a course of action based on the traffic light, it depending on the probability of renewal. That's actually kind of the KPI there. And then you have insights based on that data. Because as humans, we can see data, but then it takes a lot of experience to gain insights about that data. So what happens here is that the machine learning model thinks instead of ourselves, the machine learning model thinks by itself, thinks, and then it shares the insight. Like it looks like this has happened, and it looks like this could be, and insights, just like reflections based on the data, and then recommendations. So you have like the other perspective, like what more can be done here, and we have cases where there's no recommendations actually generated for that specific case, right? So maybe you just call them and tell them, hey, we're so happy you're a part of the GS1 family. We're gonna send you a bottle of wine. Where do you want us to send it, right? Um, and just to sum it up, we kind of did that same stuff, um, but with other area in GS1, and it's with finance area. I won't go into that, but try to think that how we're helping the financial department of GS1 to analyze their data and their projections based on different criteria. So kind of a different rule set, because that's not marketing led, it's not a sales effort. It's just a reflection on how the finances are behaving inside the company, and then you're forecasting them, and how the growth is gonna be in next years, and then you can start like kind of doing this prospective analytics, not just predictive, but prospective. You can play with different scenarios. So just remember, like descriptive is like the basis where we're all at in the data. Like with Excel, just creating a table and a report, and that's kind of looking into the past. And then predictive is kind of trying to look into the future, projecting all the information so you can do your projections and kind of estimates and everything. But the prospective part, that's that's kind of actually looking into the future, because the predictions maybe are just so short term in order for them to be accurate. It's kind of the present, right? But the forecasting and the perspective, where you can play with different scenarios, where what happens if we increase the price of the membership? What happens if we lose 5,000 members? And what happens if we increase the price of this platform? And then there's your scenario, and there's your indicators. So yeah, it's been very, very interesting, coming up from designing web pages and landing pages to predictive analytics platforms. Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
cool.
I love this thing about prospective analytics. I think that could be the future of marketing, and I want to ask you about the future of marketing in a minute. But I just wanted to make a comment that I think it's so cool. I was just fascinated by everything we were talking about how you're leveraging, AI technology and databases and structured data and other kinds of technology to really impact marketing and to impact the bottom line. And I was interviewing another expert for the Martech Expert Series, Gerardo Dada. He is the CMO and field CTO for a company called Catchpoint. And he actually described himself as one of the most technical CMOs out there. And I really believe that is one of the future scenarios that we're going to start seeing. We're going to start seeing this sort of hybrid CMO, field CTO, or highly technical CMOs that are going to be needed in the future. Before we finish the current interview, Ed, I want to get your predictions. I know you're the CEO of a hardcore software development company, but you do have a background in design, and you're also you have a very savvy marketing mind yourself. If you could give me your predictions for marketing technology for 2025, that would be a fantastic way to conclude this interview.
Well, yeah. Okay, so uh, let's take this for granted. Automation, everyone should be like that's kindergarten, like automating your campaigns, automating your analysis, optimizing them by leveraging the power of AI. Obviously, content generation, that's kind of, yeah, it's like preschool, right? Everyone in marketing should be doing or generating their own content, video, images, copies. That's kind of, it's a given. If someone's into marketing and want to accelerate their practice, whether it's an internal marketing team or an agency, if they're not doing automation and AI content based generation, you're lagging and you're running backwards, right? You're not just stalled, you're actually going backwards if you're not creating content using these very, very interesting tools as ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini and all that stuff. It's great. And you know what's behind those Gen AI chats? That there's lots of stuff every day. If you go into X, Twitter, previously known as Twitter, the artist previously known as Twitter, um, you will find lots and lots and lots of platforms for image generation, video generation, slides and presentations. You can do great stuff. Code generation, test automation, summarization. It's great. You can find lots of tools every day. But if I if my prediction goes correctly, and because the trends I've been seeing in the last few weeks, the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, um, that set the future of AI, and it's gonna be agents. So everyone should start to be looking into agents, not just chatbots and all that stuff. That's kind of, yeah, it's preschool. If you're into marketing and you're into Martech, then chatbots and all that stuff should be like thing of like the no, my first chatbot was coded by us in Where the Roads like 5 years ago when we were creating chatbots, and we had these knowledge bases, and then we have natural language processing. So all that stuff that's kind of new out there, all the pieces were there, and the effort was you needed to actually join them and make them work from scratch. Now you have prepackaged solutions, so that's super cool for people who are not technical. They just go into ManyChat, and then they will have a chatbot into WhatsApp or Telegram in a few clicks, and that's great.
Yeah,
But agents is the future. And what I mean by agents is what the CEO of NVIDIA said in a conference in Las Vegas. It's $1 trillion industry. And what he means is that for every repetitive automated task in the workforce, there's the possibility to create an agent or a fleet of agents. So if you have these data entry clerks, maybe, yeah, they're going to be displaced or replaced by data entry analysts, agents, right? So I think that's there. For let's think about um, all these travel agencies, online travel agencies like Booking.com or whatever.
yeah,
They need for you to do the job, right? I was looking for a flight to Hamburg in March, and it's been a pain in the, like reviewing sites here and there and trying to find which is the best flight. Should I fly direct flight or not, or just fly to Frankfurt and then take the train? So maybe there's gonna be an agent there where I input my case, like I need to be in Hamburg by March 23rd. I don't like scales, but if I need to take one, it should be not a very short one because I don't want to miss the plane. No, input everything to the agent, like the travel agency agent back in the day, and then this
yeah,
agent should be like, I like to travel in these airlines. I don't like these ones. Blah blah blah, all that stuff. And this AI agent should be able, based on all that data, to provide you promptly, fastly, and easily with the best option and tell you
yeah,
like, I've analyzed all the parameters and this is your best bet. Here's two alternatives. Maybe you want to check them out. If you sell for one of them, just tell me and I will book the flight for you. You know, that's what I want. And I think that's where we're
yeah,
headed. Conversational, yeah, but agentic. That's the term they're using, agentic. So the way that we're going to solve stuff, it's going to be powered by these agents who know everything about us. They even have our credit card. So yeah, go ahead and just do the groceries for me. I don't want to be thinking about like no
yeah,
Sunday afternoon, like, oh shoot, I forgot to the shopping list.
yeah.
Yeah,
You'll just speak it to Alexa or Siri or whatever, and then the agent will just go and do the shopping for you. Maybe everything will be at one store, or maybe one thing at one store and the other thing at another store, and it'll
yeah.
all be delivered to your front door.
Agents. I think and I'm betting hard on agents. I'm bullish on agents. I hope we make it. And there's platforms now even you can create your own agent in like a few steps. It's kind
Yeah,
of in its first steps. Maybe you won't rely on an agent to schedule your surgery, for instance.
yeah,
Maybe in the
yeah,
short future, not so distant future, but maybe in a few years,
yeah,
maybe the agent will actually remind you like, hey, I already go ahead and booked your annual checkup, and your
yeah,
doctor says hi, by the way, right? Or the agent's doctor says hi. You know, agents will be able to communicate themselves.
yeah,
Two AIs talking between them to organize your yearly checkup, and then just booking the appointment, and even
yeah.
paying to the doctor in advance for your studies and everything. I think that's the future. I hope it is.
I love that. Well, listen, Eduardo Ortiz Ramirez, this has been a fantastic and eye-opening interview. For the people that are watching and listening, how can they get in contact with you?
They can look me over at LinkedIn. You have my LinkedIn, Fernando. Just share it with them. They can look for us over the web. We are the Robots Inc. 10 years after we founded the company, we're starting to appear in the first results when we search for the company name. And then you can find me on X also. You follow me on X too, Fernando, so you can share my handle there
Yeah.
with the people.
Oh, and tell us about your book. You have a book coming out in next month in February, actually. It's called AI Inventory Management. Tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about the book.
Yeah. I didn't want to make this like an advertisement, but yeah, Fernando and I have been working on this book. It's a very niche topic, and that's kind of the marketing strategy there, because Fernando helped me like to define how to actually discover our niche and our sub niche and our category and all the category design stuff that's super interesting. Um, but yeah, the part of the book that's interesting for everyone is that it takes the retail inventory management as a use case, but I try to explain over the course of the first chapters the AI strategy, and that AI strategy applies the same for inventory management or for other areas, for financial or for customer retention. So it's actually more or less the same recipe because you need to extract the data, analyze, label, train the models. So the book is not technical at all. It's kind of more in a business language. It's a little bit more accessible for everyone. And even if you're not into the retail world, maybe you will find some interesting ideas. So we're launching it in a month from now. So I hope we have some of you on board, and then you can give us some feedback on the first version of this book.
Fantastic. Well, Ed, it was
Yeah.
so nice to have you here on the call, and I will see everybody in another episode of the Martechify content series. See you all later.